Welcome to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers, newbies, and veterans, and everyone in between. We're hosted by M.A. Lee with the assistance of Remy Black and Edie Rooms, all from Writers Inc. books. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Each episode lasts as long as it takes to fix a quick dinner, drive a short commute, or take a brisk walk. Resources and links are in the show notes. Visit us at therightfocus.blogspot.com. Now, on to this week's episode. Hi! It's the second check-in for the Summer Writing Challenge, all through June and July, tracking not only words but also those other tasks that a writer needs to do to pursue success. For the first days of June, 4 days, Saturday to Tuesday, we had achievements on 2 projects. Project 1 had 15,617 new words on the manuscript for the Defeat Writers Block series. We had the first check-in podcast, prep draft, and everything involved in producing a podcast episode. These past 7 days, Wednesday to Tuesday, didn't achieve as much. I expected to lose 1 whole day, but I lost 2 whole days, along with 2 half days, disrupted, one deliberate, the other unexpected, but happily so. That's 3 full days lost in these 7 days. Wednesday was the day of the unexpected obligation, combined with an expected activity and switching gears to start and stop, start then reverse, and then idling. That's 1 of those days lost. Thursday was 90% disappointment in the writing sphere, 10% good. It's my errands day. I've been worried about the tires on my car, especially since I couldn't remember when they were new. 2017, 2019, 2016, whatever, it was too long. So I swung by a recommended tire place, things which are hard to find when you move to a new area. When were the tires new? 2015, according to the man. He said I could get maybe a few more miles, but we decided to change them. He definitely recommended that. That was an unexpected long morning in the tire shop. Luckily, they had on the MLB channel, and we all talked baseball. I did manage to sketch a potential start of a scene for a fantasy novella that I need to write, but the rest of the day was busy. Friday, I had a second attempt at a short story. I achieved 500 words before I ran out of steam. I did sketch some ideas, but it's a sketch, and in no way is it a rough version. I'm feeling much better about this story, though. It's going places. I can feel it. I had a bit of busyness for my home, laundry and dusting and cooking, automatic task while the story simmers in the back of my brain. Saturday, Chapter 12 and its audio check for Defeat Writer's Block. I picked up the transcript for Chapter 13, then a disruption occurred, one of those I'm happy to accept. Family time. After spending years apart from family, I will never put anything deliberately in front of family. Sunday, after my morning time at worship and time with family, I returned to the short story. 734 words on the rough before the words stopped, so I started the draft. With front and back matter, by the time I finished for the day, the document was at 2,734 words. Monday, I started with the week's task list, what I'm doing, what I need to do, broken into manageable tasks that I can check off. A task list keeps me straying too far off my plan. I have a broader task list for each month, and these fit in with my master plan for the Summer Writing Challenge. Then I turn to the short story. I'm aiming for 6,000 words. I wrote 1,200 new words, then added them to the draft, which added 1,239 words to the document. I made a note that I'm close to the end. I might need to talk here about the creative stages for writing. First for me is the sketch, bare bones, a little dialogue, some descriptions, A movement in the plot. The sketch is a first look only. I write it rapidly, and geez, it can be hard to read. Sketches can accumulate, but I usually only have about 6 or so for a novella. The important stage is the second, which I call rough shape. Completely handwritten when it's only paper and pen in my brain, and I can fly. This is when I enter flow and will surface after an hour and be amazed at the words on the page. It is complete sentences, complete paragraphs, the story told to me by these flowing ideas. I may follow my planned arc or not. The only thing to follow is the story tagline and any idea of blurb that I have. At some point, I convert the rough stage into a draft by typing it into a Word doc. A lot of cleanup happens in this transition. I flesh out descriptions and thought patterns. I extend action in scenes. I add opinions and deepen emotional connections or disconnections. While the rough can make me want to pull out my hair, even as I relish the creative, the draft is the fun part. As the rough becomes an actual manuscript, the story doesn't change too much from rough to draft. It simply expands from a rapid story to a developed story. A sign of how complete the rough can be in today's work. I calculated the rough at 1,200 words. Those words, placed into the draft, only added 39 more words. I added much more yesterday, about 500 to 600 words, but that's more fleshing out of the world and the characters' thoughts and opinions that are needed at the beginning. This morning, I was eager to see if I was as close to the story's end as I thought. I was about 4 pages of handwriting to finish, which I calculated at 1,000 words. The draft added 1,171 words, which places the story at 5,634. I really liked the ending. The story followed my imagined plan once I found the right opening scene. Next comes proofreading, but I'll wait a few days to get a little distance. If this week teaches anything, it's that disruptions and distractions, welcome and unwelcome, wanted and unwanted, they do occur. We just need to pick everything back up as soon as possible. A weekly and monthly task list is essential for returning to what we need to do. And we may start something wrong, but if we mull it over a little, the ideas start rolling. Last week, I focused on projects 1 and 3. This week, I focused on projects 2 and 3. Next week, I hope to have success in all 3 project areas of the master plan for this summer writing challenge. Today finishes with prep for this podcast. I'll leave you with a few minutes of some inspirational musings about writing, picking up where we left off last week in a section called Be a Writer from my book, Just Start Writing. Step 4 of Be a Writer. Be a pro with the manuscript. Before you get too far into the rough draft, set your manuscript up properly. It's easier to do at the beginning than waiting at the end. Format the manuscript just like you did for essays in college and high school. That means 1-inch margins, double-spaced, and with no additional space between paragraphs, unless it's nonfiction. Use automatic wrap, which means that you let the words flow from one line to the next without your interference. You only hit enter when you need to start the next paragraph. Set paragraph tabs at 0.25. Center your title and all headings, like chapter headings. A handy little organizer for your manuscript is Styles on the Home ribbon. Pick Normal for body text, Heading 1 for book title, Heading 2 for chapter titles. Hover your mouse over the style type and right-click to select Modify. You can change fonts and paragraph elements, such as removing the widow-orphan control. When you finish the manuscript, Styles will assist you in creating a table of contents. Under Reference is the table of contents, an automatic generator. Use page numbers for drafts. This will help you as you proof. When you reach your final copy, follow submission guidelines for your online distributor. If you are submitting to traditional publishers, find out the publisher's submission guidelines and follow them. Styles, in Word, will ease any changes. For self-publication, use the submission guideline templates available from your online distributor. For example, ebooks at Amazon don't need page numbers. Paperbacks do. Step 5. Be willing to lose control. If the characters grab the story and you feel like you're just along for the ride, celebrate. That's inspired writing. The angels have graced those words. Writing can seem like a real slog. Then we have those moments, minutes, hours, when the story takes hold and the words just fly. When we finish the session, we look back and realize we may need to flesh things out a bit, yet the ideas that appeared from nowhere are great. These inspired moments are gifts of the creative muse. Celebrate them. Never hesitate to change anything planned. The creative muse loves anything planned because she loves twisting ideas around. A plan gives her elements to work with. Create as detailed of a plan as you want, then willingly abandon it whenever the muse dances on. Then return to the plan when the muse releases you. Always celebrate great writing achievements, completing a chapter, reaching major points of the draft, completing the rough draft, completing the final draft, finishing the proof plus on the book, getting a great cover, publishing the dang thing, discovering the next great story idea, having the inspired writing moments. These are all extremely important. In writing, the rewards, which are rarely monetary, unless you're lucky, come few and far between. Step 6. Be twisty with plot. You can't have a wonderful protagonist unless you have a twisty, wicked antagonist. When my former student asked for advice on how to write his first novel, he shared the cranial bone of his idea, which gave a strong hint about his central antagonist. I'll share the bit of bone here, since many stories, including the recent Hunger Games series and the 1970s Logan's Run, are built on the same brain bone. By the way, that's the reason ideas cannot be copyrighted. Only the form that your idea takes through the words you put on the page. When someone steals your words, word after word after word, page by page, scene by scene, then that's breaking copyright, and you can go get them. So in the bits of advice for him that I'm sharing with you, the conflict comes next. I told him that his antagonist sounded like an institution running a supposedly utopian society, which means he had a masked dystopia. That's always fun to write, with a protagonist's slowly dawning realization, followed by an attempt to convince allies of the dystopia and rally them and others to fight. Logan's Run does the masked dystopia pattern exceptionally well. As flawed as the film of the novel is, it still does an excellent job of shocking the audience with a switch from utopia to dystopia. Along with the protagonist, the reader has a double surprise following that realization, followed by a second double surprise with the protagonist's allies. Surprising the reader is important to any story. Then comes the quadruple obstacle of escaping the dystopia. Problem, 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 problem. And still the writer is not finished with surprises. Escape only starts up a whole new set of shocks. If you want to understand surprising the audience, you can study Logan's Run. It is highly dated and chauvinistic, which makes it offensive to modern sensibilities. If you want to see how much society has changed in less than 50 years, the film is the exemplar as a product of its time and the patriarchal mindset, to be much derided now, throw popcorn at the viewing screen. However, it's also a well-written story with constant movement that gets the necessary surprises right. Be careful as you consider any advice about antagonists, mine or other people's. The advice may seem simplistic. It never is. Many great writers have whole novels fall apart when they haven't created strong antagonists. The weaker the antagonist, the weaker the protagonist. This is all for today. Until check-in number 3, right on. All through June and July, the Right Focus podcast turns its lens to the Summer Writing Challenge, 61 days of writing, as well as presenting all the other tasks in the writing business. In addition to tracking our progress on writing projects, we'll cover market copy, cover designers, promotional posts and newsletters, as well as audio projects. These are just a sample of the myriad additional tasks performed by every writer, indie or traditionally published. Posts covering the previous week's work will be recorded on Tuesday evenings and published on Wednesday mornings. Join us as we detail the accomplishments and failures for every writer's summer challenge. Thanks for listening to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers at all levels, hosted by Emma Lee from Writers Inc. Books, assisted by Remy Black and Edie Runes. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Music is licensed through Audio Jungle, called Background Music Loop. Its creator is Alexander Polishchuk, known on Audio Jungle as Plastic 3. The music comes in different iterations. Show notes and resource links for this and other episodes can be found at therightfocus.blogspot.com. Write to us at linkbooks@aol.com when you have questions, comments, and speculations. We will try to answer you as quickly as possible. By the way, we will not mine your email address. That's rude. If you find value in our content, share with your writing friends or write a review. We're small beans here without the advertising budget of the big peeps, and you can make a difference. And whatever occurs, write on.